Hello, guys. So, welcome back to the AN Education podcast. Me and Nathan are going to do a podcast that's going to be a little bit of informative now for you all because we've done a little bit more relaxed ones over the last couple of two episodes, and we want to give you some value now, which we believe all coaches listening to this will take really, really big insights from because a lot of the industry now becomes very, very complicated. And if you've been in this industry a long time, you know this shit can be very, very complicated. It goes on other levels, but for our clients, especially general population clients who are trying to live normal lives. Nathan and I are just going to talk about the basics and how we need to try and get everyone back to the basics. And even advanced lifters or advanced trainees, they need to get back to the basics as well.
Yeah, so I mean, like I always say the basics are the best. And they just are. Like if you someone who's coaching general population, then you literally just need to get them nailing the basics. And I know that's not fancy. It's not probably what all of you who are listening this are wanting to hear from me and Ali, who go into all different health conditions, etc. And we have a couple of different ways of doing things, should we say. But it is true in terms of if a client's not doing the basics, then you can't really do anything else with them until they nail the basics.
Mhm.
Simple. Yeah. And I always explain this in terms of like you have a timeline of a client and say month 1 to 3, it's basics. Then it could be month 3 to 6 or to 9 complex, where you may need to do a little bit more complex stuff. Like, for example, you may figure out in months 1 to 3 that they've got digestive issues that they've not been reporting. Let's just use that as an example. So then it may need to be a bit more complex where you do like an elimination diet or an AIP diet or put in some certain supplementation based around that. And then after you've done that complexity for as long as it needs to be done, then you go back to basics. Because everyone should always revert back to the basics eventually, no matter what they do.
Yeah, and just to add on to that in regards to like a programming aspect of things, like splits don't need to be complicated. And I think the majority of clients, if they're trying to train more than 5 times a week, I think that's an awful amount for people to get in a certain week, especially when they live busy lives. But also something to take into consideration as well. That clients also like to do other stuff than just train. And what I mean by that is clients might do MMA, they might play footy, they might play golf or something like that. And we've got to count this extracurricular activity towards their training as well. But then training can get very complicated. Like I had a very, very complicated session with Chris Knott where he literally attacked me in like a slingshot and got me to do a split squat. Now, for someone like myself who understands, and this is how Chris worded it, for someone myself who understands how to move my body, it's very, very easy for him to give me cues that are going to rectify potentially what I was doing. But for a basic client, or for a client who's gen pop, I should say, like Chris would have to pull him in the positions. He probably couldn't rely on the band itself and then being able to get cues to be able to help that. And it's the same with like reverse banding or loading the prime kit in certain ways. It's like that's only really applicable when the client knows how to do the basics, is to actually contract the muscle, because that's the most important thing when it comes to clients, especially when they're trying to build muscle. It's actually being able to put tension through the muscle that they're trying to work. And when it comes to training, when we understand that the body is trying to just find the easiest way to do things, the coaching should be very, very basic and the training should be very, very basic for them to be able to achieve that first tick box, which is being able to contract the muscle and keep that muscle under tension. And that could be easily 2 to 3 years of progress just by simple progressive overload. And then when clients get a little bit more advanced with the training, when they've nailed all that, then for example, what I'm trialing now, which is like volume escalation, they can have a whack at that. They can do potentially drop sets and have a phase of training where they can do a bit more intensified work. But until that, I don't get why people think they need to complicate things, because at the end of the day, me and Nathan both know if you train very, very hard and you train to the proximity of failure and you can keep the tension on the tissue up until the proximity of failure, then they're going to grow, they're going to get results, they're going to respond to that training stimulus. And as Nathan said, it's the same when it comes to any kind of nutritional protocol. Peak week being a big thing. It's like keeping peak week as simple as possible, which me and Nathan probably both realize now over competing for a few years that it's just the easiest way to do things. It's like overcomplicated peak weeks where you try and manipulate sodium, hydration, carbs, fats, or whatever it may be, the protocol that you're trying to follow. It can often, especially when people have got normal lives and they're working Monday to Friday and the show days on Sunday, it's like they might not be able to take photos every single meal. They might not be able to weigh themselves every single meal. I think sometimes coaches don't ever put themselves in the client's shoes And this is something that Liz mentioned on our podcast Wednesday in regards to like coaches trying to relate to the client situation and not just say this is what you need to do because it's the most effective or most optimal, as people would say.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, like you just saying there, like long gone are the days now where we feel like we need to put fucking different sets into people's training
Mhm.
all the time and run different phases quick sooner than others and stuff like that. It's more just about like when I'm coaching now and I get a new client, it's what level is the client at? That's what I think. Like, are they in my brain beginner, intermediate, or advanced? Keep it simple. If they're
Mhm.
a beginner, then it's literally like getting them to prep food and eat meals at certain times and stick to all foods. That's probably your first thing you need to do. And
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if they're doing that, they're not going to progress and they're
I
not
think
going to learn.
also, I think also like, just to add on to this in regards to, like things that coaches get hung up on. Top set, back off set is quite simply two rep ranges that you're just trying to hit. There's nothing magic about it. Like I do a top set, back off set because I like to lift in lower rep ranges. And what, but I've been training for a long time, so I can do it to some degree and still execute well. But if you've done one set of 4 to 8 and one set of 8 to 12, for the majority of people, there's no difference on just doing two sets of 8 to 12. Like that's still going to get the result because if they train hard to failure and they do an exercise, so let's take an incline dumbbell press and do 30 kilos and they fail at 8 or they fail at 10, sorry, they will not be able to get 10 on the next set. So they'll either need to drop the load to still stay within that 8 to 12 rep range, or the next set, they'll still use the same load, but they'll hit 8 reps. Because no way is someone, or no way should be somebody able to fail and then do more reps with the same load on the next set. And that's a good way for coaches to understand that the clients are training hard enough or not. Because it is very, very difficult now to get clients to send training video footage. It is a little bit more challenging than what it seems to be or what we think it should be. So again, just look at the logbook. It's a simple thing. If they're increasing load as the sets are going on and the rep range is the same, they're not training hard enough, and that's a good way for you to then call the clients out in a professional way.
It's one of them, though, mate, isn't it? Like, if someone's a beginner, if we stick on beginners, then it's just getting them to fucking logbook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Literally, it's just
yeah.
it's just literally getting them to logbook, getting them to track the nutrition, getting them to weigh food, getting them to time the meals correctly, getting them to not overeat at night. These fucking little
Yeah,
things, the simplicities are what you need to get your client doing at first. If your client's more intermediate, they'll probably tick all them boxes pretty quickly and they'll just go tick, 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 tick. They'll already probably half do them. So it won't take you as long. So then you can maybe go into a little bit more complexities with them people, getting them to send training videos, analyze that, getting them to maybe time the nutrition where they do carbohydrates pre and post, maybe. Yeah. Like these little things are then where you can go more to intermediate and advanced stuff. But for the basics of people, for the most of Gen Pop, it's fucking doing the basics and getting them to do the basics and teaching them the basics as to be autonomic with the basics.
I think what people should do when clients are very, very new to this, they should be on a meal plan. I don't even think that there shouldn't even be a choice of if it fits your macros because of a client. Everyone demonizes meal plans, and to be fair, I do feel like they're coming back into popularity now. But say 5 years ago, demonized because it gives people eating disorders and restrictive eating and all this. But if you actually design a meal plan very, very well, you should have 4 to 5 different protein sources over 2 days. You should have maybe 4 to 5 different carbohydrate sources. There should be 10 different fruit and veg sources in between that. Fat sources again can be intertwined. It's not just dark chocolate or peanut butter. There are other fat sources that coaches can use. And again, if you're giving a client maybe, I don't know, 20 different food groups, 25 different food groups to eat over a 2 day basis, I struggle to understand how that is restrictive. I really, really do. And what that does as a client sees, and this is about, so Nathan and I could pretty much guarantee that me and Nathan could eat quote unquote intuitively because me and Nathan have tracked food for about 10 years of our life now. So we know what 150 grams of chicken looks like, give or take. So we can understand what a serving of rice looks like or whatever it may be. So, but clients who are brand new to this, they can't do that. And I think giving clients too much again in regards to fanning around with MyFitnessPal, trying to program the day food the day of, eating on the go, I just think sets foundations of really, really bad habits. But again, if you give them a meal plan and you go, okay, in the first 2 months, we're going to stick to this. And then what we might do is we're going to remove a meal and I want you to plan for that meal. And it's just like a progressive overload of how to get clients to potentially track macros compared to a meal plan. But me and Nathan gives me a meal plan. It's like I don't want to think. I know Nathan's not going to miss any food groups out. I know I'm going to feel good. And I think sometimes when you give clients too much choice, same with training, if you give them too many things to do, they just say fuck it and they just try and go to something that's simple.
Well, you got to think about it logically, aren't you? You've got to think about if you're a beginner and you're being told to train, track steps and do steps, track cardio, do cardio, sleep a certain amount of hours, and then on top of that, plan fucking 4 different meals a day for 7 days. That
It's
your
too
head's gonna
much.
fall.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
head's gonna fall off. So if you kind of just go, right, okay, cool. What we're gonna do is I want you to stick to either day one or day two. I'm giving away what we do. Day one or day two, there's 4 meals here, 4 different meals here, right? So you've got two choices. Stick to that for a week where you do day one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, day two, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then if you want any changes after week one, let me know in your feedback and I'll change it for you. Yeah. So you then keep taking control of that for now so they can get meal timings right. They can stick to portion sizes. They can not overeat on at night time. Yeah. They can stick to the nutrition and get used to prepping food and building habits around that. So as you can see, you're taking the pressure off so they can do all the hard work basically and the basics of the hard work and build that up. And then you can kind of start drip feeding in, like Ali's just said. Why don't you use MyFitnessPal and change meal four, let's just say. You know what I mean? So it's giving you giving your client a chance to actually succeed
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than going fuck off and giving
And
them everything.
I think for coaches who listen to this, who might be feeling, oh, that seems like a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but you also get paid a lot of money. You get paid a lot of money to sit on a fucking laptop to just fucking write the plan.
Mate, if I'm honest though, I think it's more hard work telling a client to track their own nutrition and then having an headache every fucking checking because the weight's not coming down.
Yeah, yeah, of course, mate. But like, I
You
think
know what I mean?
because everyone coaches like everything to be systemized now, don't they? So it's like if they just type in 140 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat, and 200 grams of
Oh yeah,
carbohydrates, and
that's
just go
easy.
and go, that's what you need to stick to. It's like you're not even doing your fucking job. You're just typing numbers and going, I hope this works. Whereas if you actually sit down and look, it does get easier. It's like I can write a training program now in 45 minutes to an hour easily. And it'll be a pretty, and look, but by the way, like when I write that, I understand that's going to be edited. Like I understand that first template's not going to be what it's going to be in the next month or 2 months because things are going to have to change because our client trains. And it's the same with nutrition plan. It's like when you've been doing it for a while and you write the macros at the top, you've already got a good understanding of what they're going to be eating roughly per meal. But it does take a little bit more time. But again, it's like when you nailed that foundations and that first month or so to all lined out with the training sound, the nutrition sound, the results are just continuous then. It's just easy work. You just take a little bit of potatoes out, or you add a little bit more cardio, or something like that. But the foundations are still built, and this is why me and Nathan are just so good at we're so good at just harping at about our people in education about the basics, the basics. There is no secret formula, and I think a lot of coaches need to get this in their heads. If your client's got low stomach acid, there's a protocol that you can put in for low stomach acid, but they still need to be in a deficit to still lose weight, or they still need to be in a surplus to still gain weight. Just having a more adequate level of stomach acid is going to make that process a lot easier because when you have a good digestive system, that means fat loss and muscle building would just be a much easier process. But they still need to follow the outline. And it's the same with training. Don't do reps in reserve. Just get your clients trained to failure because again, that's going to be so much easier to standardize. And then when the client's more advanced and they might be going to a photo shoot or a competition, or they might need a D volume week or whatever it may be, then they can do a few reps in reserve, but the foundations still need to be pushing that intensity level really, really high. And I think that's how you pretty much just nail every client transformation.
100%, mate. Like you get any client doing the basics and doing them really well. Like you just think though about fucking like bodybuilders who are the best at this. Bodybuilders are the best at physique development. They're
Yeah.
the best. They just do the fucking basics on repeat.
It's all
Don't
do
do
is eat, train, and sleep.
Yeah, exactly. They just do the basics. They just don't do
Yeah.
anything. So they do the basics on repeat consistently all the time. The problem the difference with Gen Pop is obviously they're more social. So that's where it becomes a bit more tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
But
still think
again,
something.
basics always work.
I still think something Austin Stout said to me, which has always stuck in my mind, is the people who get the best transformations have other things outside of bodybuilding. So what I mean by that is they don't like if you get a client just if it's what I'm trying to say here is if a program is very easy to follow, they don't stress over the program. If a program is very, very complicated to follow and they're trying to be perfect on every kind of corner of it, where they're feeling like, I don't know, they're feeling like they need to take, they need to do carb cycling because that's going to be the best way for them, and they're overthinking it, they're not going to get as good results because they're going to be too stressed then. And I think that's something that's always still stayed in my head, what he said to us on that call, in regards to like the best bodybuilders are the most chilled out people, and the best people get the most transformation to the most chilled out. So it's like they take the training off, but then they go and they go out for a walk with the missus at the evening or the other fella.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I was going to say then is what I've noticed a lot over the years of coaching, especially recently, is that people who are like perfectionists, so people who are actually looking for the more complex stuff, are the people who really don't do as well as they could do.
Mhm.
Because when it's not perfect, then they fuck up,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. And then that's kind of what results in this kind of like vicious cycle, should we say? So just to kind of back up what you said though, it's just get your client chilled out at doing the basics and knowing that they work. Simple.
Well, into the concept, me and Nathan both train 4 times a week.
Yeah.
We don't train five. We don't do anything complicated like Nathan does. He does something like if everyone follows Terence Ruffin, he does a very similar training split to what Nathan does, where it's like appendages and then torso. I just do push, pull legs, upper lower. So again, it's probably not too dissimilar to what Nathan does in regards to like volume X, Y, and Z. But we train 4 times a week. Our sets are probably anywhere between 10 to 15 per session. It's really not that complicated. Nutrition wise, me and Nathan eat whole foods. I'm going out for roasting a little bit. Nathan will have probably one off-plan meal a week still, and we just tick the steps off and we just do what needs to be done.
Hmm. Literally it.
Right,
Uh,
guys.
yeah.
So everyone get your clients doing the basics and stop trying to think of fancy protocols. It's just overcomplicated and doesn't work. But guys, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.